And let's get more on the story now. Joining us from Muscat in Oman is Prasanna Karthikeyan. He's a training captain on Boeing NG and MAX Jetliners. Really good to have you with us, Captain. You have extensive experience flying this type of aircraft, the Boeing Dreamliner. You've also had experience flying in and out of Ahmedabad airport where this plane crash took place. From what you've seen in terms of the images so far, is there any indication as to what might have happened, what could have led to this disaster?
First of all, hello everyone. It's really unfortunate to see something like this. We don't get to see this. It's really sad. Boeing 787 is one of the most successful aircraft of modern times. I fly the Boeing 737 NGs and the MAX airplanes. That is the previous generation aircrafts. The 787, since its inception, has been, it's kind of a bestseller. It had a few issues in 2009 with the battery issues and stuff. Otherwise, it's been a pretty successful aircraft. I used to fly in and out of Ahmedabad, like you said. Yes, it's an international airport. The runway meets up the standards. It's a really long runway. Everything. It was a clear day. Weather was fine. Everything was okay. To see something like this, it is really tragic. A few causes. While monitoring the video, I had a group of my friends. We had an extensive discussion some time back as well at what could have possibly caused this to happen. Ahmedabad is notorious for birds. I'm sure you're aware of the Hudson crash, which happened with the US Airways flight last decade, where Captain Sullenberger ditched the aircraft into the Hudson after a bird strike with the dual engine loss. Ahmedabad has had a history of bird strikes. That could be a possibility, but it will be another educated guess. That's it. The last call which the ATC, the pilot rather, made to the ATC after declaring a mayday was that he had said that we lost thrust and we don't have lift, which seems to be a dual engine failure. And it's very, very rare for an aircraft of this caliber, which has a lot of redundancies, to have a dual engine loss at such a low altitude. So we have to wait for the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder, which we call as the black box, to be recovered. And then once the report comes out, we'll have more detailed answers to what has gone. But it looks to me that it could be a dual engine failure at a low altitude. Because if you see the visuals closely, we call something as a RAT, which is called as a ram air turbine. A ram air turbine gets deployed only when the aircraft is in serious threat, where a lot of systems are compromised. And that was deployed. We could see it in the video, in the visuals, that the ram air turbine, the RAT, has been deployed. The landing gear was still down, which means that whatever's happened has happened really fast and at a really low altitude. And the pilots didn't even have time to even think about the landing gear and stuff. And they were so focused on sorting out the problem. The other important issue is a loss of communication. Even if there is a dual engine failure, communication doesn't get totally lost in these situations. So the last call was mayday to ATC. And after that, ATC tried to call them back. And as per the news reports, there was no response. Maybe the pilots were too busy sorting out the problem. They didn't get back to ATC, or something else has happened. We don't know. Yeah.
Prasanna, from what we can gather, the last significant air crash disaster to have occurred in India took place in August 2020. That involved an Air India Express flight on a Boeing 737-800 aircraft flying from Dubai to Kozhikode. And that overshot the runway at Calicut International Airport, killing the 2 pilots and 19 passengers. And before that, the last significant disaster, it seems, was in 2010, so 10 years before. It does seem like there isn't really too much of a serious concern when it comes to air safety in India. But how would you describe India's air safety record?
India has an exceptional safety record with the amount of aircrafts that are flying in just alone in Indian airspace. let alone the aircrafts which fly out of India and into India. The DGC has done a phenomenal job in handling such massive orders, rapid growth. In the past 10 years alone, I think more than 50 new aerodromes were built by the current ruling government because there's a demand. So in aviation safety and security in India is really, really good. There's also one reason. It could be a pilot error, which is what has been discussed on some Twitter forums. I don't go with them because Ahmedabad runway is about 11,500 feet long. Sometimes pilots take off from intersection departures just to save time and fuel if safety and performance permits. Romeo 4 is one such intersection which is used by turboprop aircrafts like ATRs and the Dash 9s, the aircrafts which are turboprops, which you normally call them. They are about 70 seaters and 60 seaters in capacity. There were some rumors going around that the pilots miscalculated and took off from Romeo 4 departure. That can't happen even on a 737. Flying the 737s, we don't do Romeo 4 departures out of Ahmedabad. So I don't think that is true, so we can rule that out. There could be a possibility of pilot error, maybe, I don't know, miscalculation of speeds and stuff. It's too soon to tell. But prima facie, from the recordings with ATC, I believe it could be a dual engine failure, and I don't know what else to add on to it.
Yes.
But it's too early.
Air India is India's flag carrier. It was reacquired by the Tata Group conglomerate back in 2022 with the hope of reviving the fortunes of this airline. We know before Tata Group reacquired it, really its reputation had suffered a hit, quality had declined, and Tata Group is really hoping to relaunch the airline, revive its fortunes. Surely an incident like this must shake up those plans quite significantly as the public perhaps get nervous about flying Air India.
It's true, not just Air India. Such an incident will give a major jolt to Indian aviation overall, because the scale of the tragedy itself, 242 confirmed deaths by the people on board, and it's hit a hostel like what you have, the news we have collected so far. The numbers could be significantly higher, although I wish it's not the case. But it'll take time for people to get back the confidence in just flying, you know. But Air India acquired Vistara, Air India acquired Air India Express, and AirAsia. They all joined together into a massive airline. But individually, the safety records of all these airlines have been fantastic. So, I mean, it's, I don't know how to put it. What has happened should have not happened, because the very essence of aviation is it's safety, safety, and safety. We have redundancies, and we have redundancies for redundancies. So I'm really curious to know what has really happened, because what has happened should have not happened.
Yes. What do you think this incident, how do you think it might impact Boeing, for example? We've seen reports that Boeing's share price has plunged 8% in the wake of this disaster. And we know in recent years there have been 2 deadly Boeing crashes involving its 737 MAX aircraft that resulted in the grounding of that fleet for quite some time. You mentioned that you have experience flying the 737 MAX. Do you think this will make the flying public more nervous about flying a Boeing aircraft?
I hope not. Because what happened with the MAX was the MCAS issue, which was not disclosed to the pilots, and then whatever happened after that was really unfortunate. This one, it could have happened to any airline, to any manufacturer, at any airport. So until we get more information about what has really happened, we can't blame Boeing for this, but yes, I think Boeing's reputation is going to take a big hit because of this.
Okay, and you're currently based in Muscat, Oman, and I understand you mostly fly Boeing aircraft, is that correct?
That is correct. We have about 30 Boeing 737s and about 10 Boeing 787s. We fly both the fleets.
Okay, and with your continued experience flying Boeing aircraft, what lessons might you learn from looking at something like this? What will you do the next time you board an aircraft and prepare to pilot another Boeing, especially another Boeing Dreamliner? Are there any checks, extra checks that you might conduct in the wake of this disaster?
Not necessarily. We are trained for dual engine failures. We are trained for all sorts of failures that Boeing perceives that may happen on this aircraft from the time you push back from your gate till you go back to your gate to your destination. So we're trained for pretty much all the failures multiple times, and we have recency checks every 6 months to practice those failures and stuff. So nothing should change, actually. In light of this recent crash, because we exactly do what the manufacturer recommends us and also what the authorities want from us. But like I said, it's too early to tell as to what caused this accident. And the problem is, if it's a dual engine failure due to a bird strike or for some other reason, if it's an engine failure, then it's up to the engine manufacturers to introspect and see what could have happened. But if it's a bird strike, then the location of the airport itself is of significant importance, because at low altitudes, there's no way that the aircraft can turn back and land back at the airport. And India being such a populous country and there's buildings all around, a tragedy like this, it's very difficult to avoid if it happens at such a low altitude. So coming back to your question, there's nothing that we would do extra in light of this tragedy, because we pretty much do everything that needs to be done before every flight in terms of preparations, in terms of performance calculations, in terms of getting ready. We analyze threats on a day-to-day basis of every airport and weather phenomenon, aircraft technical issues, if there's any. Pretty much everything is done by every set of crew which handles an aircraft every day. But having said that, once the report comes, then probably the authorities and Boeing may give guidelines if something unexpected has happened which nobody knew about.
Okay, Captain Prasanna Karthikeyan. Well, we'll have to leave it there. But thank you so much again for joining us on the program.